Very good evening, students. Welcome to Sankalp learning classes. Yes, I hope all are ready to listen the class. Today continue we are going to continue the chapter evolution. Already in the last class only we have started the chapter evolution. Some important topics also covered in the last session. So today in this session, so we are going to continue this chapter. Okay. Yes, what we learnt in the last class. So last class ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನೇನು ಸ್ಟಡಿ ಮಾಡಿದ್ವಿ. So the first thing is theories of evolution. Theories of evolution. Theories of evolution. So different theories, so which explain how the life is originated on the earth, and after that some evidences for evolution that we have studied, and Darwin's theory. So everything we have studied in the last class, and the last topic that we studied was that is adaptive radiation, right? So adaptive radiation, the very good example is Darwin pinches that we studied in the last class. So let us start the chapter with the one more example for the adaptive radiation, that is the Australian marsupials. So an Australian marsupial was discovered in Australia. That account of marsupials had evolved from the some genealogical stock. Here what the Australian marsupials they are developed here. So this is example for the adaptive radiation. So ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು marsupial ಒಂದೇನಿದೆ organism ಇದೆ. So when they move to the different parts of the uh, that continent or different parts of the world, so they developed into a different organism only. So that is nothing but the adaptive radiation. They are adapted for that environment, so by modifying their body. So that is the example. Here, a placental, well-evolved creatures were too visible in Australia to exhibit the versatile radiation. They appear to have evolved from marsupials into various placental, well-evolved creatures. Placental, warm-blooded life forms have resembled the ancestral marsupial. So, for example, Tasmanian wolf and marsupial and the placental wolf. So that you can observe here. So the placental mammals and Australian marsupials. So the similar features that you can observe. So the next very important concept, that is biological evolution. You know that natural selection is the foundation of Darwin's evolution. So the organisms which is able to cooperate with the environment, which is able to adjust with the environment, that will survive. So that is the natural selection. The rate of emergence of new species is related to the life cycle. There must be a genetic basis for the variation to be chosen and developed. So sometimes you can observe the variation. So that is because of the genetic basis. Okay. Animals with advantageous modifications are better adapted to the survival in the hostile environments. So some animals the modification, so that is helpful for the, that is very helpful for the adaptation, better adaptation for the some hostile environment. So ಕೆಲವೊಂದು ಚೇಂಜಸ್ ಏನು ಆರ್ಗಾನಿಸಮ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಆಯ್ತು. ಸೊ ಅದೇನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಅದು ಆ ಒಂದು ಎನ್ವಿರಾನ್ಮೆಂಟ್ಗೆ ಹೊಂದ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿಕ್ಕೆ, ಆ ಒಂದು ಎನ್ವಿರಾನ್ಮೆಂಟ್ಗೆ ಅಡ್ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಆಗ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಏನಾಗ್ತಿತ್ತು. ಸೊ ದಟ್ ಮಾಡಿಫಿಕೇಶನ್ ಈಸ್ ಹೆಲ್ಪಿಂಗ್. Variations result in adjustability. Variations are inherited and have genetic basis. So our variations in cause agittalva. So for example, the organisms which are living in the normal environment, so after some time when the environmental temperature is high, only few species are able to survive in that hot temperature. Okay, so that is the variation. So ಮೊದಲೇನಾಗಿತ್ತು, ಎಲ್ಲ ಆರ್ಗ್ಯಾನಿಸಮ್ಸು ಕಡಿಮೆ ಟೆಂಪ್ರೇಚರ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಬದುಕ್ತಾ ಇದ್ವು ಅಲ್ವಾ. ಸೊ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಏನಾಯ್ತು, ಹೈಯರ್ ಟೆಂಪ್ರೇಚರ್ಗೆ ಆ ಒಂದು ಆರ್ಗ್ಯಾನಿಸಮ್ಸ್ ಅಡಾಪ್ಟ್ ಆಗ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ. ಸೊ ದಟ್ ವೇರಿಯೇಷನ್ ಇಸ್ ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ಡ್. So fitness is an organism's ability to adapt to the changing environmental condition and to be selected by the nature. So the survival of the fittest. Now last class ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನು ಸ್ಟಡಿ ಮಾಡಿದ್ವಿ ಅಲ್ವಾ? So the which one is the fittest which is able to adapt the changing environment condition, that is selected by the nature. Selected by the nature ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು? So that is able to continue its generation, that is able to multiply its number in that environment. So this is the concept that is mainly proposed by the Charles Darwin. So Darwinism central ideas are as follows. That is, the first one is natural selection, the survival of the fittest by the nature in the face of changing environmental conditions, and theory of common descendant. So living beings evolve from common ancestors as a result of several varieties. So the first thing we know, natural selection. The fittest one is, so that is selected, which is not unfit, that will that is removed in from the that environment alva. So theory of common descent. So what is the meaning of this common descent? According to the biological evolution, the organisms which are developed now, complex organisms, they are developed from the some, they are all are having the some ancestors. Okay, so ಆ ಒಂದು ancestors ಇತ್ತು, ಆ ancestors ಇಂದ changes ಆಗಿ ಆಗಿ ಕಾಂಪ್ಲೆಕ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ಗಾನಿಸಮ್ಸ್ ಫಾರ್ಮೇಷನ್ ಆಗಿದೆ. ಸೊ the meaning is the organisms which are found on earth, they all have one common ancestor. Okay, so that is the theory of common descent. Evolutionary theory of Lamarck. The scientist, he proposed some theory, that is a theory of inheritance of acquired characters. So this theory is not accepted, but what is this theory? We know theory of inheritance of acquired characters. What is the meaning of acquired characters? Acquired characters means the organisms in their lifespan which is able to develop some characters. Okay, for example, some skills they will develop. Organisms, they develop some skills, so that is the acquired characters. So that is by practice. So these acquired characters, they will inherit according to the Lamarck, but it is not accepted. Okay, so Lamarck, a French naturalist, mentioned that evolution of life forms takes place as a result of organ use and exemption. So very good example is giraffe. Okay, so according to him, so before, so the theory of organ, the theory of use and exemption. So according to the Lamarck, so before the giraffe neck, okay, just imagine giraffe neck, that is short only. Nowadays, now what we observe in giraffe, that is very tall, right? But here, before, these all giraffes, they have the short neck. So they are um, herbivores, and they eat the um, leaves and the plants which are available on the ground level. Okay, so after some time what happens? So there are some long neck giraffes also there. Okay, so after some times what happened? The giraffes, so they didn't get the enough food on the ground level, so they are trying to reach the long trees. Okay, so their neck is trying to reach the long trees, so they are using their neck, they are stretching their necks to reach the leaves. So ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಲೆಮಾರ್ಕ್ ಥಿಯರಿ ಪ್ರಕಾರ ಏನು ಹೇಳುತ್ತೆ ಅಂದರೆ, ಮೊದಲು ಅಕಾರ್ಡಿಂಗ್ ಟು ದ ಲೆಮಾರ್ಕ್, ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಜಿರಾಫ್ ನೆಕ್ ಏನಿತ್ತು ಅದು ಶಾರ್ಟ್ ಇತ್ತು, ಗೊತ್ತಾಯ್ತಾ? ಆ ಶಾರ್ಟ್ ಯಾಕಿತ್ತು ಅಂದರೆ, ಸೊ ಹಿ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ಲೇನ್ಸ್ ದ್ಯಾಟ್ ಜಿರಾಫ್ ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ದ ಹರ್ಬ್ಯೂರ್. ಸೊ ಅದೇನು ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ, ಅದು ಲೀವ್ಸ್ ಮತ್ತು ಪ್ಲಾಂಟ್ಸ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಡಿಪೆಂಡ್ ಆಗಿದೆ ಅಲ್ವಾ? ಸೊ ಗ್ರೌಂಡ್ ಲೆವೆಲಲ್ಲಿ ಏನು ಲೀವ್ಸ್ ಮತ್ತು ಪ್ಲಾಂಟ್ಸ್ ಇತ್ತು, ಆ ಪ್ಲಾಂಟ್ಸನ್ನು ಅದು ಸೊ ಇಟ್ ಟೇಕ್ ಇಟ್ ಆಸ್ ಅ ಫುಡ್. ಸೊ ಆಫ್ಟರ್ ಸಮ್ ಟೈಮ್ ವಾಟ್ ಹ್ಯಾಪನ್ಸ್, ಡ್ಯೂ ಟು ದ ಎನ್ವಿರಾನ್ಮೆಂಟಲ್ ಚೇಂಜಸ್, ಸೊ ಏನಾಯಿತು, ಕೆಳಗಡೆ ಇರುವಂಥ ಒಂದು ಲೀವ್ಸ್ ಮತ್ತು ಸ್ಮಾಲ್ ಪ್ಲಾಂಟ್ಸ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಡಿಸ್ಟ್ರಾಯ್ ಆಯಿತು, ಓನ್ಲಿ ದ ಟ್ರೀಸ್ ಆರ್ ರಿಮೈನಿಂಗ್. ಸೊ ಆ ಟ್ರೀಸ್ ಅನ್ನ ರೀಚ್ ಆಗ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ, ಸೊ ಹೈಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿರುವ ಟ್ರೀ ಲೀವ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನ ತೆಗೆದುಕೊಳ್ಳಿಕ್ಕೆ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತು ಜಿರಾಫ್. ಸೊ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಸ್ಟ್ರೆಚಿಂಗ್ ಇಟ್ಸ್ ನೆಕ್ಸ್. ಸೊ ನೆಕ್ ಅನ್ನ ಸ್ಟ್ರೆಚ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಈ ಒಂದು ಹೈಯರ್ ಲೆವೆಲ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇರುವಂತ ಲೀವ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನ ತಿನ್ನಕ್ಕೆ ಟ್ರೈ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಹೋಯ್ತು ಅಲ್ವಾ. ಸೊ ಆಗ ಏನಾಯ್ತು, ಸೊ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಯೂಸಿಂಗ್ ಇಟ್ಸ್ ನೆಕ್ ಕಂಟಿನ್ಯೂಸ್ಲಿ. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ದ organisms which are developed in next generation, they are having the long neck. ಸೊ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನೆಕ್ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಯೂಸ್ ಆಯ್ತಲ್ವಾ. ಸೊ ದ ಆರ್ಗನ್ ಯೂಸ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಎಕ್ಸಂಪ್ಷನ್, ಆ ನೆಕ್ ಏನಾಯ್ತು ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಯೂಸ್ ಆಯ್ತು. ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಯೂಸ್ ಆಗಿರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಏನಾಯ್ತು, ಅದು ತುಂಬಾ ಉದ್ದವಾಗಿ ಬೆಳೀತು ಅಂತ ಲೆಮಾರ್ಕ್ ಪ್ರಪೋಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಇನ್ಹೆರಿಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಎಕ್ವೈರ್ಡ್ ಕ್ಯಾರೆಕ್ಟರ್. ಬಟ್ ಸೊ ದಿಸ್ ಥೇರಿ ಇಸ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಆಸ್ ಯೂಸ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಡಿಸ್ಯೂಸ್ ಥೇರಿ. ಸೊ ಯಾವ ಆರ್ಗನ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೇವೆ ಅದೇನಾಗತ್ತೆ, ಇವಾಲ್ವ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಯಾವ ಆರ್ಗನ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನ ನಾವು ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡೋದಿಲ್ಲ, ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಇವಾಲ್ವ್, ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಪಾಸ್ ಟು ದ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಜನರೇಷನ್. ಬಟ್ just imagine, this is not a well accepted theory, it is not accepted by the scientist. He asserted that giraffes evolved long necks to forage for leaves on the tall trees. As a result, this character was created out of desire to adapt and survive. So ಈ ಒಂದು ಟಾಲ್ ನೆಕ್ ಇರುವಂತ ಲಾಂಗ್ ನೆಕ್ ಇರುವಂತ ಜಿರಾಫ್ ಏನಾಯ್ತು, ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಡೆವಲಪ್ಡ್ according to the lemma. This acquired personality was passed down through the generation. Giraffes gradually grow long necks over the several years. So ಆ ಜಿರಾಫ್ಸ್ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತು, ಲಾಂಗ್ ನೆಕ್ ಅನ್ನ ಡೆವಲಪ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂತು ಓವರ್ ದ ಇಯರ್ಸ್ ಫಾರ್ ದ to reach the tall trees leaves. Okay, so but it is not a well accepted theory, which is not accepted by the scientists, but it is that you should know what he proposed. Okay, next important topic, that is about the mutation. So this is the new word for you people, mutation. So what is the meaning of mutation? So Hugo de Vries was successful in planting evening primrose, and Hugo de Vries proposed a various mutation theories. So then what is the meaning of mutation? So mutation andre ಏನು ಹಾಗಾದ್ರೆ? The mutation is the sudden appearance of a difference in a group. So some characters, they will suddenly appear in a organisms. So that is called as the mutation. So that is because of the change in the genetic level, sudden change in the genetic level that causes the change in the, that causes the difference in the group. According to the Hugo de Vries, mutation theory differs from the Darwin's theory of natural selection. So according to the Hugo de Vries, what he proposed, Hugo de Vries proclaimed that mutations, not minor variations, cause the evolution as Darwin suggested. So what Darwin suggested, the small changes that accumulate and cause the larger variation. But according to the Hugo de Vries, so the mutations, so they cause the larger variation that results the evolution. Okay, mutations are unanticipated and unplanned and aimless. So mutation is, that is the sudden change in the genetic level, sudden appearance of some characters. So that is unanticipated, we cannot anticipate that change. So that is unplanned and aimless. The Darwinian changes are minute and directional. So Darwin ಏನು ಪ್ರಪೋಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದ, so the changes what he observed in the organisms, that is minute, and this minute and that is directional. So Darwin believed that evolution was gradual, whereas Hugo de Vries assumed that mutation caused the massive changes that gave rise to the speciation. So according to the Darwin ಏನ್ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ, the small changes that will accumulate and the organisms, they will evolve. Okay, so ಏನಾಯ್ತು, ಸ್ಮಾಲ್ ಚೇಂಜಸ್ ಆಗಿ ಸೊ ಒಂದು ಎನ್ವಿರಾನ್ಮೆಂಟಿಗೆ ಅಡ್ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಅಲ್ಲೇನಾಗತ್ತೆ, ಇವಲ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಆಗತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು ಅಲ್ವಾ. ಬಟ್ ಅಕಾರ್ಡಿಂಗ್ ಟು ದ Hugo de Vries, so he assumed that mutation means sudden appearance of some characters, a sudden change in the characters, so in the group that is that causes the speciation. So that results the speciation that causes the new organisms to develop in that. Okay, as a result he dubbed the saltation, that is the single step large mutation. Then what is Hardy-Weinberg's principle? Very important for your exam. What is Hardy-Weinberg principle? The probability of occurrence of alleles of a specific gene existing on a specific locus can be determined for a given population. So here the occurrence of alleles of a specific gene, so existing on a specific locus, can be determined for a given population. This frequency is generally fixed and remains constant across the different generation. The allelic frequency that remain constant across the different generation. Okay, and the Hardy-Weinberg principle is demonstrated using the algebraic equations. So he used the algebraic equations to demonstrate the Hardy-Weinberg principle. According to the Hardy-Weinberg principle, allele frequencies are stable in a population and remain constant from generation to the generation. Then the gene pool does not change. This is referred to as a genetic equilibrium. So he used algebraic equation, that is p plus q the whole square, that is p square 2pq plus q square plus 1. So ಇಲ್ಲಿ p and q and represent ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. p and q represents the frequency of individual alleles. So that is the frequency of the individual alleles. So as a result, p square represents the frequency of homozygous condition and q square represents the frequency of the homozygous alleles. PQ represents the frequency of the heterozygous condition. Frequency of heterozygous condition. So here the Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium. So it is also affected by 5 important factors. So Hardy-Weinberg principle enide. So that is also affected by some factors. The first one is gene flow or gene migration, genetic recombination, natural selection, and the mutation, genetic drift. Okay, so genetic drift. So here again one more genetic recombination is the genetic drift and mutation. Okay, so these in the exam they will ask, write the factors that affect the Hardy-Weinberg principle. The first one is gene migration. What is gene migration? When a portion of population moves to another location, gene frequencies in the both the original and new population change. A gene frequency enagatte. So some people they migrate, some organisms they migrate from their original to the another place, original place to the another location. Then gene frequency that may change in original population also and in the new population also. New genes or alleles will be added to the existing population while the same will be lost from the old. For example, gene migration. So this is the particular area. So A area. Okay. So this is the B area. Some organism population randomly they are moving to the B area. So A area ಏನಾಯ್ತು gene frequency that is also changed, and here also in this area also gene frequency changed. Okay, new genes or alleles will be added to the existing population while the same will be lost from the old. So illinda ಏನಾಯ್ತು lost ಆಯ್ತು, ಇಲ್ಲಿ new frequency add genes ಆ ಒಂದು population ಅಲ್ಲಿ add ಆಯ್ತು ಅಲ್ವಾ. Next, gene flow. When genes migrate, it is commonly referred as gene flow. When the organisms migrate, when the genes migrate from one place to another place, so that is the meaning of gene flow. Then genetic drift, a change in a quality occurs as a result of arbitrary event or by chance. So change in the genetic frequency, gene frequency by chance. For example, so some ant populations are present in the particular area. Okay, so ಇಲ್ಲಿ ant populations ಏನಾಗಿತ್ತು ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇತ್ತು. So they have the some um, gene frequency. Then due to the when the elephant passes through this area, most of these ants are died and only few are remaining, and this remaining one, they are that has this different gene frequency, that is because of the genetic drift. Okay, so by chance the change in the gene frequency by chance, that is called as the genetic drift. And the founders effect. So what is this founders effect? The founder effect occurs when the change in the allelic frequency is also drastic, that the new population species and varies develop in a different species. So ಇಲ್ಲೇನಾಯ್ತು, some species when they move to one place to the another place, so when they reach the another region, so they develop into a new species in that region. So they are the founders of that organisms in that region. So founders effect anta ಯಾಕೆ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ? So they are the founder organisms in that region. ಆ region ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಈ ಒಂದು organisms ಇರಲಿಲ್ಲ. So when they are suddenly moved, so they are the first organisms are developed in that area. So that is called as the founders effect. The founders effect occurs when the change in the allelic frequency is also drastic, that the new population species and variants develop a different species. ಆ variants ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, different species ಆಗಿ develop ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. The founder species is the first resettled population from which the variability emerged, and this impact is known as the founder effect. So that is the what I explained. What is founder effect? Okay. The last one, that is the natural selection. So natural selection can result in stabilization, directional changes and disruption. Okay. Stabilization means the process by which more people acquire the average character value. So when more people, they acquire average character value, you can see here. So that is the, so here most of the people, they are having the average character. Okay. Then directional changes occur when a large number of people acquire characteristics that differ from average character value. So ಇಲ್ಲೇನಾಗಿದೆ, average character value ಕಿಂತ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಇದೆ. The third one is disruption occurs when a greater number of people obtain peripheral character values at both the ends of the distribution curve. So when the peripheral character, when they are not attaining the mean character, so they are attaining the peripheral character. Peripheral character ಅನ್ನ attain ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ you can see the peaks like this. Okay, so here one character and here another character. So two characters that you can observe in the particular population. So these are the five factors that affect the Hardy-Weinberg principle, and what is the algebraic form of Hardy-Weinberg principle, and what is the definition of Hardy-Weinberg principle. So these all things are very important. Next thing is evolution. So here we are studying the brief account of evolution, how the organisms are formed, how the from single cell organisms to the multiple cell and complex organisms are formed. So briefly we are studying in this part. Okay, so evolution ಹೇಗಾಯ್ತು, ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಏನು ಡೆವಲಪ್ ಆಯಿತು, ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಯಾವ ಆರ್ಗಾನಿಸಮ್ಸ್ ಡೆವಲಪ್ ಆಯಿತು ಅನ್ನೋದನ್ನ ನಾವಿಲ್ಲಿ ಬ್ರೀಫ್ ಆಗಿ ಸ್ಟಡಿ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೇವೆ. ನೋಡಿ, the first forms of life on Earth appeared around 2000 million years ago. They were cellular. Okay. The first life form ಹೇಗೆ evolve ಆಯಿತು, ಯಾವಾಗ evolve ಆಯಿತು, 2000 million years ago. Okay. So that was cellular. Certain cellular shapes develop the ability to photosynthesize and thus release the oxygen. The climate gradually became more oxygen rich. So climate ಏನಾಯ್ತು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಕೆಲವೊಂದು ಆರ್ಗಾನಿಸಮ್ಸ್ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ವು, ದೇ ಡೆವಲಪ್ಡ್ ದ ಸಮ್ ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಚರ್ ವಿಚ್ ಪರ್ಫಾರ್ಮ್ ದ ಫೋಟೋಸಿಂಥಸಿಸ್. ಓಕೆ, ಫೋಟೋಸಿಂಥಸಿಸ್ ಮಾಡುವಂತ ಕೆಲವೊಂದು ಶೇಪ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನ, ಸೆಲ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನ ಡೆವಲಪ್ ಮಾಡ್ತು. ದೆನ್ ದೇ ರಿಲೀಸ್ ದ oxygen to the environment, so the environment become oxygen rich. This is in turn aided in the development and progression of more high impact forms of living beings. Single celled organisms gradually evolved into multicellular life forms. So first single cell organism ಒಂದೇ ಇತ್ತು, ಮತ್ತೇನು ಇರಲಿಲ್ಲ ಅಲ್ವಾ. So only single cell organism was there. Then it is how it is developed into a new organism. So that is very important. Invertebrates first appeared around the 500 million years ago. Very important, 500 million years ago. So invertebrates means without notochord. ಸೊ ನೋಟೋಕಾರ್ಡ್ ಇರದೇ ಇರುವಂತಹ ಕೆಲವೊಂದು ಆರ್ಗ್ಯಾನಿಸಮ್ಸ್ 500 million years ago ಏನಾಯ್ತು, ಅಪಿಯರ್ ಆಯ್ತು. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ದಿಸ್ ಟೈಮ್ ಲೈನ್ ಇಸ್ ವೆರಿ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್. Invertebrates first appeared around 500 million years ago. Then, around 350 million years ago, the first fish evolved from the invertebrates. So, they were mostly likely jawless fishes. So, already we have studied in the first year about the jawless fishes. So, here, invertebrates, the first type of the fishes, they are the jawless fishes. Okay, they are also called as agnatha. Then, around 320 million years ago, seaweeds and few plants emerged to evolve and existed. So, after some years, so what happened? The seaweeds and some few plants, they evolved in a water condition. So, this is the brief, again, some points we have to learn. So, this is the first part of the evolution. Then, the coelacanth is a low-finned fish. Okay, so very important. So, fish found in South Africa, the coelacanth is thought to have evolved into first amphibious animals that could live on both land and water. So they thought that, so this fish, that is the first lobed fish. So this fish is able to evolve into the amphibians. So the coelacanth, that have evolved into a first amphibious animals that could live on both land and water. So ಈ ಫಿಶಸ್ ಇಂದ ಏನಾಯ್ತು, ಸೊ coelacanth fish. So from these fishes amphibians are developed. ಫಿಶಸ್ ಇಂದ ಏನಾಯ್ತು, ಆಂಪಿಬಿಯನ್ಸ್ ಏನಾಯ್ತು, ಡೆವಲಪ್ ಆಯ್ತು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ದ ಆಂಪಿಬಿಯನ್ಸ್ ವರ್ forefathers of frogs and salamanders. Amphibians gradually transform into reptiles. So ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಏನ್ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ, ದ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಥಿಂಗ್ ಇಸ್ ಫಿಶಸ್. ಸೊ ಫಿಶಸ್ ಇಂದ ಏನಾಯ್ತು, ಆಂಪಿಬಿಯನ್ಸ್ ಡೆವಲಪ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಆಂಪಿಬಿಯನ್ಸ್ ಇಂದ ಈಗ ರೆಪ್ಟೈಲ್ಸ್ ಡೆವಲಪ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಅಂತ. ರೆಪ್ಟೈಲ್ಸ್ ಎಗ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ಲೈಕ್ ಆಂಪಿಬಿಯನ್ ಎಗ್ಸ್ ಡು ನಾಟ್ ಡ್ರೈ ಔಟ್ ಇನ್ ದ ಸನ್. ಸೊ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಲೈಕ್ ಅ amphibian egg. Okay, so reptiles all are egg laying only. On land, giant ferns like pteridophytes fell and were buried in the soil. ಸೊ ಏನಾಯ್ತು, ಇದರ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಪ್ಲಾಂಟ್ಸ್ ಹೇಗೆ ಇವಾಲ್ವ್ ಆಯ್ತು ಅಂತ ನೋಡ್ಬೇಕು ಅಲ್ವಾ. ಸೊ ಅನಿಮಲ್ಸ್ ಯಾವ ತರ ಇವಾಲ್ವ್ ಆಯ್ತು ಅಂತ ನಾವು ಬ್ರೀಫ್ ಆಗಿ ನೋಡಿದ್ವಿ. ಹೌ ದ ಪ್ಲಾಂಟ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ಇವಾಲ್ವ್ಡ್, ಸೊ ದಟ್ ವಿ ಶುಡ್ ಸಿ. Some of the reptiles retreated into aquatic environments to evolve, and fish-like reptiles probably 200 million years ago. Dinosaurs were the most well-land reptiles. So dinosaurs, they belong to the reptile class, and they are the largest reptiles and well-known reptiles, we can say. Some of the reptiles retreated into aquatic environments to evolve into the fish-like reptiles probably 200 million years ago. Very important. Tyrannosaurus Rex was the largest dinosaur, standing about 20 feet tall and sporting significant dangerous teeth like knives. So here there is a dinosaur, that is, the name is Tyrannosaur Rex. Very important. Please note down the point, Tyrannosaurus Rex. So that is the important one. And around 65 million years ago, dinosaurs went extinct on Earth. A few of these dinosaurs became birds. So ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಏನ್ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದೆ, reptiles ಇಂದ birds develop ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. So here some evidences also they have provided. So ಏನಾಗಿದೆ, ಫಿಶಸ್ ಇಂದ ಏನು ಡೆವಲಪ್ ಆಗಿದೆ, ಆಂಪಿಬಿಯನ್ಸ್ ಡೆವಲಪ್ ಆಗಿದೆ, ಆಂಪಿಬಿಯನ್ಸ್ ಇಂದ ರೆಪ್ಟೈಲ್ಸ್ ಡೆವಲಪ್ ಆಗಿದೆ, ರೆಪ್ಟೈಲ್ಸ್ ಇಂದ ಬರ್ಡ್ಸ್ ಆಗಿದೆ. ಫಾರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್, ಸೊ ದಿಸ್ ಡೈನೋಸರ್, ಸೊ ದಟ್ we can observe the some dinosaurs, they develop into a, they became birds. The first mammals were small and shoe-like. They had small fossils, and mammals evolved to become viviparous. So commonly in mammals, you can observe the viviparous condition. So what is the meaning of viviparous condition? What is the meaning of viviparous condition? Viviparous means which directly give birth to the young ones. Oviparous means which lay the eggs. Egg-laying organisms, they are called as oviparous, and without egg, they are called as viviparous. So this kept their developing embryos inside their mother's body. So in mammals, what you can observe, the developing embryo that is present inside the mother's body. Pouched mammals in Australia survived due to a lack of competition from the other mammals. So in Australia, you can observe the some different types of the mammals, that is called as pouched mammals, kangaroo. Continental drift is blamed for the lack of competition. So this timeline, that is Tyrannosaurus Rex, and so these all are very important for your exam. Yes, how many years back, probably how many years back the environment, so that is evolved, that is developed. So like that they will ask the question. Yes. So this is the brief account of evolution. So how the organisms evolved. According to the evolution, the organisms which are present nowadays, complex organisms, they developed from the unicellular simple organisms. So like that, fishes, from fishes amphibians are developed, from amphibians to reptiles, reptiles to the birds, that we can observe in the brief evolution. So that timeline is very important. Okay. The next very important topic, that is origin and evolution of man or human beings. So how they are originated, so at what time period they evolved, and so everything we are studying how the human beings evolved. So from their basic body form to the advanced body form, how they develop, that we are studying. So in this picture only you can see how the organisms, so they are evolving. Okay. The first Dryopithecus and other primates existed 15 million years ago. In appearance and movement, these animals appear to be similar to chimpanzees and gorillas. So this is the Dryopithecus. So they are the primates. So how many years ago? 15 million years ago. And you can see the movement of these animals appear to be similar to the gorillas and chimpanzees. So that is called as Dryopithecus. Okay, that is the first form of human beings, and Ramapithecus was more similar to the humans, whereas Dryopithecus was more similar to the gorillas. So this is Ramapithecus man and this is the Dryopithecus. Dryopithecus more similar to the gorillas and chimpanzees. Ramapithecus more similar to the human beings. Okay. Some human-like bone fossils have been discovered in Ethiopia and Tanzania. So in Ethiopia and Tanzania also, some types of the human beings types of the fossils are discovered. So we don't know the exact explanation about this. Okay. Then Australopithecines. The first is the Dryopithecus, Ramapithecus, and the third type, Australopithecus, existed 2 million years ago only. So these Australopithecus, they appeared 2 million years ago only. Most likely encountered in the East African grasslands. They are found in these East African grasslands also, and they used hunting weapons and that they had made up. They were originally vegetarians. So these are the some features that we can observe in the Australopithecus. So ನಿಮಗೆ ಎಕ್ಸಾಮ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವ ತರ ಕೇಳ್ತಾರೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ, ಸೊ ಇನ್ ಕೇಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಬೋರ್ಡ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಮ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಮಗೆ ಡ್ರೈಫಿಥಿಕಸ್, ರಮಾಪಿಥಿಕಸ್, ಅಸ್ಟ್ರೋಫಿಥಿಕಸ್ ಇದ್ರ ಮೇಲೆ MCQನು ಕೂಡ ಕೇಳ್ತಾರೆ, 2 ಮಾರ್ಕ್ 3 ಮಾರ್ಕ್ ಕ್ವಶನ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನು ಕೂಡ ಕೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ವೆರಿ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್. Here Australopithecus, they used the hunting weapons and that is made up of the stone, and they were originally vegetarians. Okay. The hominid, also known as Homo habilis. So if you write the series for the first one, Dryopithecus, second one, Ramapithecus, then Australopithecines, the third one, Australopithecines, then fourth one, Homo habilis. Okay, so this fourth one we have to study, that is Homo habilis. Okay. So the hominid, also known as Homo habilis, was the first human-like organism. So Homo habilis was the first human-like organism. So before Australopithecus, Ramapithecus and Dryopithecus, they are more similar to the chimpanzees and gorillas. But here, so this man more similar to the human-like organisms. The hominid's brain capacity ranged between 650 to 800 cubic centimeter. So here what we can say, the brain capacity, so that is around 650 to 800 cubic meter, cubic centimeter, and hominids continue to eat only plants. So these organisms, these stage of development of man is also, they are also vegetarians. Next one. The Java men, the fossils in Java 1891 appeared to be a successive level. Homo erectus appeared around 1.5 million years ago. So Homo habilis, then in the 1891 Java men also observed, and Homo erectus. So Homo habilis, next Homo erectus 1.5 million years ago, 1.5 million years ago ಏನಾಯ್ತು ಈ ಹೋಮೋ ಎರೆಕ್ಟಸ್ ಅಪಿಯರ್ ಆಯ್ತು. They had bigger arm, bigger brain with the capacity of 900 cubic centimeter. They were most likely non-vegetarians who ate the meat. So the first man who looks like more chimpanzee was the Dryopithecus, then Ramapithecus, then Australopithecus, then Homo habilis, Homo habilis, or you can call it hominid. Okay, Homo habilis. Then, so here, Homo erectus. What are the, so in exam they will ask, write the character, when they appeared, write the character. So 1.5 million years ago, Homo erectus appeared. Okay, so 1.5 million years ago. Then Neanderthal man. So the Neanderthal man brain was approximately 1400 in size, cc in size. They lived in Eastern and Central Asia between 10,000 and 40,000 years ago. So ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾಯ್ತು, ಈ Neanderthal man, so whose brain capacity is 1400 cc in size. Okay, and Eastern and Central Asia between the 1 lakh to 40,000 years ago. So when these Neanderthal man appeared, 1 lakh to 40,000 years ago. To protect their bodies, Neanderthal man developed using of some animal hides, and Neanderthal buried their dead bodies. So what are the characteristic features of Neanderthal man? So approximately the brain was 1400 cc, and when they appeared 10,000 to 40,000 years ago, and Neanderthal man buried their dead bodies, and they used the animal hides for their protection. So that is about the Neanderthal man. And next one, Homo sapiens, they originated in Africa. So these Homo sapiens, they originated in Africa, spread to other countries and evolved into various races. So nowadays what the human population we are observing, so all are belongs to the Homo sapiens. Okay, so they originated in Africa, spread other continents and evolved into various races. And modern Homo sapiens appeared during the Ice Age 75,000 to 10,000 years ago, and around 18,000 years ago ancient cave art created, and agriculture emerged around 10,000 years ago, followed by the human settlement. So these all things that we can observe. So Homo sapiens characteristics, so when they are appeared in the Ice Age, and prehistoric cave art developed, you can see the cave art and agriculture and human settlements that you can observe. Okay, so here what type of the questions they'll ask on this human evolution. So just they'll give Dryopithecus, Ramapithecus, or Neanderthal man, Homo habilis, Homo erectus, anyone they'll give. And what you have to remember about this evolution of man, you should remember which type of man appeared in which year. For example, how many years back. For example, Homo habilis so appeared how many years back, like that you should know. And what are the characteristics of that stage evolution of man. Okay, so here the first thing what we can observe, Dryopithecus more chimpanzee like, and Ramapithecus similar to the more man like character. And the second one, first one, Dryopithecus. Second one, Ramapithecus. Still write it in short. Third one, Australopithecines. Australopithecines. Then the fourth one. So what are the characteristics of Australopithecines? They used hunting weapons, and they had made up, and they were originally vegetarians. So that is the characteristic feature. The next one, the fourth one, Homo habilis characteristics. You have to write this Homo habilis. The brain capacity, that is 650 to 800 cc. Then they depend on only plants, so that you have to write. And fossils discovered, that is the Java men. Okay, that is about the Java men. And Homo erectus, what are the characteristics of Homo erectus? They appeared 1.5 million years ago, and they had bigger brain capacity with 900 cubic centimeters, and mostly they ate the meat. And here, what are the characteristic features of Neanderthal man and the Homo sapiens, that is given here. So that is very important. So the brain capacity they will give. So which man? Neanderthal man have the brain capacity 1400 cc. Then, so where they appeared? In the Central Asia between 10,000, 1 lakh to 40,000 years ago they appeared. And Homo sapiens, so that is very important. When they appeared 75,000 to 10,000 years ago, they appeared. And 18,000 years ago, ancient cave art was created, cave arts. And agriculture emerged around the 10,000 years ago by human settlement. Okay, so these are the some features that we can observe here, that is 75,000 to 10,000 years ago. And they uh, the prehistoric cave art is developed. You can see the cave art in different caves. So today also you can see some cave arts. And agriculture and human settlements were started by the Homo sapiens. So ಈ ಎಲ್ಲ ಒಂದು ಬ್ರೈನ್ ಕೆಪಾಸಿಟಿ ಇರ್ಬೋದು ಅಥವಾ ಕ್ಯಾರೆಕ್ಟರಿಸ್ಟಿಕ್ಸ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ವೇರ್ ದೇ ವರ್ ಅಪಿಯರ್ಡ್ ಫಸ್ಟ್. ಸೊ ದೀಸ್ ಆಲ್ ಥಿಂಗ್ಸ್, ಸೊ ದೇ ವಿಲ್ ಆಸ್ಕ್. So that is very, very important for your board exam. Okay, so in this chapter, evolution chapter, one of the important chapter. So total what we studied in this chapter: the theories of evolution, then what are the evidences for the evolution, then adaptive radiation, then the brief account of evolution, Hardy-Weinberg principle, then about the evolution of man. That is one of the very important topic. Evolution of man, origin and evolution of man, one of the important topic that we studied. Okay, so yes, dear students, if you have any doubts, you can ask. Otherwise, so this chapter, I will end this chapter here. So from tomorrow onwards, I will start the new chapter. Okay.